Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images.
Those first three words, "we got him," are the words that millions of Americans have been waiting to hear. Not because they were afraid of the shooter, not because they were afraid for their own safety, but because they wanted the animal responsible for taking the life of Charlie Kirk apprehended. And they wanted him apprehended alive. Because as you know, most of these cowards who commit these types of crimes end up taking their own life so they don't have to face the reality of what they've done. That person who committed this crime is an absolute animal and deserves to be treated as such. And it's my hope that throughout the justice process that this person wants to go to trial and doesn't decide to plead guilty, because he deserves to get convicted by a jury of his peers, and his sentence should be death. No questions asked. End of story. He is an outright animal who had revenge, who had to seek revenge because he was offended by what Charlie Kirk had to say. Here's a little more of what that press conference had to say about finding this kid who took the life of Charlie Kirk.
Interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in that conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger.
About his opinion.
Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there has been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings.
The writing on the casing,
I believe we have that as well.
That the left-wing agenda,
and I'll share that with you now,
is all about hate. They can't tolerate someone else's opinion.
So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the three unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
So that video right there just told us everything we already knew. This person was brainwashed by left-wing ideology. He was against the fact that Charlie Kirk did not believe in LGBTQ, transgenderism, if you will. And it pissed off this kid. He didn't like it. And the more and more he listened to the left-wing media, the more angry he became. So he decided, you know what, I've had enough. I can't let this guy go on to preach his hate. So believing in Jesus Christ apparently is hate. Not agreeing with the transgender issue is hate. And everything else that the left believes in, that we all know most of it is ridiculous. So now all we can do is sit back while this case plays itself out in the courts. And like I said in the beginning, I hope this kid doesn't decide to plead guilty and face his trial, because there's one question that still remains. Even though we know why he did it, I want to hear him say it. Say why he did it, not just from inscribing it on bullet casings. This country is divided enough. The left will say it's the right will say it's the left. My true, honest belief is that most of these people, especially the ones who commit these types of crimes, the mass shootings or a single shot or what have you, this transgender issue, and mostly, again, the Democrat Party and the left are pushing this and force-feeding this to people. Because the way I see it, if you don't agree with anything a Democrat says, then you're the bad person. They insist that you agree with every single thing they say and every single thing they do. So conservatives, people on the right, are not allowed to have an opinion. And the left gets angry if you disagree with them. And this is what happens when you don't agree with them. People lose their lives. And all the politicians, we need to stop political violence. They need to stop force-feeding their ideologies down the throats of the American people. Stop brainwashing young people into believing nonsense like a man could be a woman or a woman could be a man. It's absolute garbage. And this kid right here was against Charlie Kirk and everything he believed in, and that's why he decided to take his life. But we have another question. Did he act alone? I hope to find out. We know they had taken a couple of other people into custody and then released them. Was this kid smart enough to go about getting the weapon, the scope, stalking out the whole area, and able to fire that shot and get away on his own? Or were there decoys in the crowd like the first old man who was causing a problem and got arrested? Was he involved with this kid just enough so that kid could get away? I hope it all comes out in the courtroom. Charlie Kirk's legacy will live on. They think they silenced someone, but what they did is they basically opened the minds and hearts of millions of Americans who believe in what Charlie Kirk had to say. So Charlie will not be silenced, even though he can no longer speak for himself. There are millions of people who are going to carry on his message, because the evil that comes from certain people on the left needs to be dealt with and needs to be stopped. This country has suffered enough. It's time for healing, and it's time for these people to stop pushing their woke leftist ideology, because quite frankly, all they are doing is damaging people's minds and damaging the safety of the United States of America.